Well, our new offensive coordinator series continues here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. We got more teams to talk about, including the Commanders. Praise be the Almighty, Bloom, because I've been talking to some vice presidents in the NFL who absolutely love Jaden Daniels. Obviously, we know Adam Peters loves him as well. And now with the new OC, Cliff Kingsbury in town,
Yeah.
making beautiful music with one Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it really is Cliff Kingsbury and or Jaden Daniels. Cease, I think we can frame this as number one. What do you think of Cliff Kingsbury? Discuss a little more on that in a second. But you could also say that, well, maybe Jaden Daniels means it doesn't matter what you think of Cliff Kingsbury, possibly. But the ghost of RG3 looms over this whole thing, right? And I do think that much like RG3 and his amazing rookie year, if we're going to bring Kingsbury into the conversation, what we like, and again, Washington keeps hitting this note, all the players are talking about tempo, 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 tempo. So that's good. I mean, that just shows me an aggressive mindset. But see, so if we circle back around to the Cliff Kingsbury origin story in the NFL as a head coach, everybody laughed at it. Remember?
Right? Oh, yeah.
I mean, the idea was too much, too fast. Like, what did
Yep.
he do to earn this opportunity? It seemed like flailing. It seemed like, Urban Meyer or something like that. But not even, I mean, with Urban Meyer, at least it was defensible in the sense of the success that he had. But Cliff Kingsbury, what was the line? He's like, he wasn't even successful at Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes, something like that.
Right. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So he goes to Arizona and the Kyler Murray story, and it becomes the Kyler and Cliff story. And it wasn't a success story. I mean, it was a success story for the Cardinals franchise in so much they have a quarterback. Like, he's above the Kirk Cousins line, Kyler Murray. He gives the team possibilities, and he's worth building around, or at least they're stuck building around him at this point because nobody else is going to take on his contract. Either way, it was closer to solving quarterback than Josh Rosen was, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So that move, that right turn that people didn't see coming, ended up being correct, at least to some extent. But do we think Cliff Kingsbury's any good? Do we think he has any insight? Did he even do stuff in college that made us? I mean, what did he create at Texas Tech? He didn't create anything. He just inherited it, right? And he didn't make it a success in the NFL with Kyler Murray, the quarterback he always thought was like the perfect quarterback for the offense he wanted to run. Why do we think it's going to be any better with Jaden Daniels? But it's still an exciting thing, and for Washington fans, a lot of moving forward and leaving things in the past. And at least this team looks very different than the miserable one we've seen for the last few years.
Yes, very different, much more exciting, that's for sure. And then very different and less exciting, the Chargers. But we
Well,
know this. I mean, that's the nice thing, at least about Greg Roman. Like, okay, we know. We get it, buddy. We got it. And your former Ravens guys are going to
right.
run until they get hurt, which probably week 2. So, all right, Chargers time, Bloom. Poor Justin Herbert. Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. Well, here's the thing, Cease. How important is it? How much should it be brought up in this conversation that Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman had a tremendous success together in San Francisco, have worked together, have proven that as a synergy, they can make the most out of what they have. And that was with Colin Kaepernick. They were this close to winning a Super Bowl. And then you even look at what Greg Roman did at first with Lamar Jackson. A lot of things were tilted in the Ravens' advantage at first. It was that Greg Roman was stale and didn't evolve from that. So you would think that initially this is going to be a successful offense. Do you agree?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I mean, we're not worried about, well, there's no Mike Williams, there's no Keenan Allen. I think because you have Justin Herbert. At the very least, he's going to be able to take to the field what Harbaugh and Roman are dreaming up right now. And they have an offensive line. Talk to Matt Patonti, Draft Daddy. He's the man. Go watch the episode. Learn about how he became a DJ. And this is something I think that we're underestimating. Now, I'm not saying go get Justin Herbert in fantasy drafts. Maybe get Lad McConkey. I mean, you still have to pay up for him, but that's interesting. That's really interesting. maybe take a Kamani Vidal. If there's one guy that's going to emerge out of the trio there, it would be him. Maybe no one emerges. But overall, Cease, I think we definitely could be underestimating this offense because Harbaugh Roman is a pretty trusted brand in the NFL, actually.
Right. Brand association. What do you think about the Patriots? Again, I'm taking a wait and see approach. They don't really have any receivers. I've said it on the local airwaves because it's a Bronco show, Bloom. Like, I would take Jalen Virgil over pretty much anybody except Kendrick Bourne in the Patriots wide receiver group. So we've got some news items. Drake May's looking good. Yeah. Jacoby Brissett will be there in case May's not ready. He wasn't ready. Well, Drod Mayo, you had a year. You had a gap year. You had a year where you could just kind of see what you had. You don't have to compete this year. But Robert Kraft, here we go. Like, all right, the pressure will be there. They just don't have the pieces around the young quarterback. If May works out, and he's got a lot of work to do, or even if Brissett is just steady Brissett like he
Right.
usually is, they just don't have the weapons. And what's the Ramondre Stevenson? As of this recording, Bloom,
Right.
Ramondre Stevenson is like, oh, we really believe in him. We trust him. All right. Everyone's going to stack the line and stuff the run. Dare you to throw.
Yeah. Lots of problems here. Lots of problems. See, I think about human resources and management and developing people. I also think about real estate. I think of things in terms of real estate. I'm old. Gosh, I'm old. How did this happen? See, we never talked about real estate with fantasy football at the beginning. What
I
happened to
know.
us?
I
What
know.
happened to us? But you think about real estate, and the Patriots are a fixer-upper, an investment opportunity. you know, right? Because there's not much there. I mean, there's some potential big issues in the offensive line. Cole Strange's injury is really important. There's another spot on the line that's a hole. Okay. Alex Van Pelt. This is an offensive coordinator episode, Cease. So let's do word association. Go back to it. Shout out the original on the couch format. Alex Van Pelt.
Ugh.
Right? I
Yuck.
mean, what do we even? He got fired from the Browns. Again, this whole thing with recycling these offensive coordinators who were not successful. The Browns picked up Ken Dorsey at their last stop. Just a lack of imagination. I don't know. So, we're not thinking that Alex Van Pelt is going to add some sort of special sauce to this. And then you look at, again, in real estate terms, like you could gut it or strip it down to the studs and remodel it. Well, the offense, I mean, that's where it is already. But they have no budget or loan to remodel it yet. Really, Jalen Polk? I mean, I get it. Like, what a drop off to somebody like Jalen, Brian Thomas, Lad McConkey, even Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette, we won't talk about. But, in terms of immediate impact, Jalen Polk was taken just a few picks later in the second round. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to, disparage his game. But come on, I mean, you just put the tape on side by side. And you think about how that translates to at least immediate NFL impact. Javon Baker might be maybe better situated to do that. These are the guys you're hoping for as like the defibrillator paddles for this passing game. And like you said, Cease, Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, he's a solid back. He's a good all-around back. He's like that rare power back who can play all three downs, give you the power on early downs, give you a well-rounded skill set on passing downs. But he's not elevating an offense. So this just feels like more failure. And then sees, like you said, oh, we haven't even talked about the quarterback. So you're really going to put Drake May, who's a quarterback that we've said, hey, he does beautiful, breathtaking, inspired things at times, but under pressure, you'll see some decisions like brain fart type decisions. Where like, you just can't do that in that moment.
Hero
So
ball.
right. And you're going to put him in this situation. We should see Jacoby Brissett, but that's not exactly exciting for fantasy either. So, I think that this is one of those situations, like you're getting the cruise ship turned around. And when you get the wheel and you turn it for the first part of that turn, you're still going farther away from your destination. You're still getting farther away before you can get it turned around. But I think you hit on the most quizzical part of this whole thing is that Jared Mayo has already basically staked his career, this opportunity on Drake May, when he must see how poor of a situation this is for a young quarterback to develop.
All he had to do was pick up the phone and talk to Robert Saleh. Hey, what do you do with a meddlesome owner? You
Yeah,
know,
right,
Robert Saleh never wanted Zach Wilson.
right, right.
And you mentioned in a previous show we did in June, Bloom, about like, oh, I hope Robert Saleh's next job. Is he going to get one? That's what Gerard Mayo is facing as a defensive coach. Offensive coaches might get another chance,
Mhm.
but as a defensive coach, you got one chance, like Eminem, Mom Spaghetti, one chance, one opportunity. Good luck.
Mm, mm.
That's right. Seattle is much more exciting and enticing in Bloom. Why do I think of Sam Howell when I get excited about Seattle? I mean, Gino's Gino. Love the story, love the guy, right? They wrote me off, but I didn't write him back, right? Love Geno Smith.
Mhm.
Just kind of seeing what he can do. Now, three wide receivers should be a thing. You look back at the University of Washington and those three wide receivers who I all love, and Jackson Smith and Jigba with his new work ethic.
Yeah.
There's some excitement around Seattle.
Yeah, there should be. And unlike the retread hire, this is a imaginative hire. And maybe not that imaginative. They didn't go out of the state, really. They didn't go out of the metro area. But it's somebody coming off of a success story. And we just mentioned Jalen Polk. It'll be interesting, Cease, to watch this, right? We get opportunities because of the nature of how football unfolds to look back and redefine things, right? So no doubt the Washington passing game last year was a massive success story. But who was the most responsible? Was it Ryan Grubb? Was it Michael Penix Jr.? We've already talked about him. Jalen Polk, we just mentioned. Jalen McMillan, he's already generating buzz. Computer Report and
He
company.
should be. Yeah.
Computer Report says something. Pay attention. Jalen McMillan. Oh, Roma Dunze, that guy. Uh, we got Devin Culp, that actually, I think is down in Tampa too. My point simply is we can watch these players' careers and coach careers unfold and start to redefine, like, oh, really, this was the person or the people that were bringing that element that elevated this pass offense. And I think that there's a good chance that we'll look back and say, yeah, Grubb was a big part of that. Because at least you can look at Washington and say, watch all three of the receivers and watch Penix, and they were all asked to do things that are comfortable, that they were good at. Nobody was miscast, right? Like
Right.
Jordan Addison at USC or something like that. Nobody was miscast. So yeah, I think this is really exciting. And like you said, Cease, I think in Geno Smith, you have a quarterback much like Michael Penix, going back to Geno Smith, West Virginia, who was a really fun quarterback to watch. Really, really fun because of how bold he was, because he saw things he could make happen and he trusted his receivers. And I think that that's what Michael Penix did. And I think that these three receivers, Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith and Jigba, deserve that trust. And Geno Smith will take those shots. And Mike McDonald, the other nice thing you have here, Cease, is you have a defensive head coach like Dan Quinn in Washington. It's not going to meddle at all. Grubb's going to get a chance to graduate right to, like, hey, you got an A+ on the college football offensive designing course. Now let's try it out in the NFL and see how it goes.
Let's see what's up in Tennessee to wrap up today's program. Going over new offense coordinators. So much to talk about. We had to do it in 3 shows. So this is our second show. Make sure to stay tuned for the third show. We're also going to be
Yeah.
taking the 4th of July off. So everyone enjoy, be safe and happy out there on the 4th of July. And Tennessee, it just comes down to Will Levis,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, what can you get from Will Levis? Because I love Tyjae Spears. I love Tyjae Spears. I love Tyjae Spears. And we've talked
Yeah.
about Traylon Burks. We've talked about this offense before, but let's break down how the new offense could help Will Levis.
Yeah. See, so there are can we remember a lot of coaching staffs that have father and son together on the coaching staff? I mean, Mike and Kyle, were they on a coaching staff together?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anybody
They
else I can
were.
think of off, like Gary and Clint,
Gary and Clint. Yeah.
speaking of new offensive coordinators,
Right.
not a lot. Not, I mean, it's not exactly common, but in this case, it could be very beneficial, very, very beneficial. And what's interesting is that unlike, I think, Gary and Clint and Mike and Kyle, who are intertwined, by the way, deeply intertwined, those two coaching families, coaching trees, um, what Brian and Bill bring at totally different elements, totally different strengths. It's not just like the like a Russian nesting doll, like the dad, and you open up the dad, and then a little version of the dad comes out who grows up to be like the dad. Because Bill is going to rehabilitate this offensive line, which is a massive sore spot, and then Brian's going to bring in everything, hopefully, that was good from Cincinnati. So, and again, he's going to be the play caller. This is who we're talking about. Even though Nick Holtz is the offensive coordinator here, it's a new offense, and you can say that the critical point of failure is Will Levis, and I think that's true. So in some ways, it revolves back to, well, what do you think of Will Levis? No matter how much the offensive line is improved, no matter how much the offensive design is improved, and we're out of the shadow of Derrick Henry now. It's not a Derrick Henry offense, and really, you couldn't uh, show to a more polar opposite than having two backs interchangeable like Pollard and Spears. I mean, it really is a complete philosophical change in the running game. That may take time to get up to speed. We'll watch that. But the idea is that with Calvin Ridley, with DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully Chigokonkwo takes another step forward, not quite to the level expected last year, but new regime change, coaching change, fresh start for him. Maybe could get his momentum going. Traylon Burks, another guy, maybe you hope he gets some momentum going as a complementary piece. That's a pretty nice complementary piece.
Right.
If Will Levis just executes, if Will Levis gets what Brian Callahan is doing and executes, it could be an offense like the Chargers that we are vastly underestimating.
Vastly underestimating your fantasy team or others in your league. Did I just sound like Yoda? I think I did. Anyway, the force is with you as always if you used footballguys.com. So check out our free daily newsletter. It's footballguys.com. And then if you want to help out the show, you want to support the show, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff with YouTube. And then subscribe to footballguys.com. That's the best way. We don't do any silly super chats, no, nothing like that. So, hey, come on board with us at footballguys.com. We've got a great product, and you will be quite pleased. So, if we make you happy, make us happy. Subscribe to footballguys.com, please. And thank you. And he's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter X at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. The show is at the Audible. We're saying thanks for watching. Watch these other videos over here. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty.